Good afternoon. My name is Megan Vaughn, and I'm a senior biology major here at Southern Wesleyan. And I worked on the Community Engagement Handbook in correspondence with the Jericho Project, along with my honors mentor, Dr. Jennifer Woods, who is a special education professor here at Southern Wesleyan, and Dr. Joe Brockington and Miss Susan Finley, who are all here today. So I'm happy to see you guys. First off, I want to start talking about the importance of community engagement. So we did a modified qualitative study, which basically means we went through the scientific method and did the experimental process just in a different light. So typically when you hear biology major, you think in a lab, doing different studies like that. That is the exact opposite of what I did. Just want to give you a forewarning, there is no science in this presentation. But I do think that this is just as important. Typically when we think of research and research studies, we think of the more science side. Ironically, this semester, none of our presenters are presenting on science, and I think that's really awesome. This project was basically extremely important because we are trying to spread awareness and advocacy for individuals with special needs because they tend not to be able to advocate for themselves in our society today. Whether you come into contact with people with special needs on a daily basis or not, these basic skills are extremely important to have in order to fully find enjoyment in participating in a community. So, as humans, we are social creatures. Whether you are an introvert or an extrovert, you typically need a little bit of social interaction, and this is true for individuals with special needs as well. Sometimes these individuals will prefer not to have this interaction, or they have trouble initiating the interaction, but research and studies have shown that these individuals need personal interaction and genuine interaction just as much as we do, whether they actually see that or not. I want to note at the very beginning that typically people in the general population, like you and I, forget some of the struggles and challenges that individuals with disabilities or special needs face on a daily basis. So that is something that I really wanted to highlight in this handbook that I wrote for the Jericho Project. Some of these issues revolve around dealing with community pressures and understanding different social cues. So this is the basis of the handbook, is to inform and educate the general population on the daily struggles and challenges of individuals with special needs. So I've mentioned the Jericho Project and want to give you a little introduction to that. The Jericho Project is going to be an on-campus housing facility for individuals with special needs, and it is projected to start in July to August of 2018. On the board are some basic goals of the Jericho Project, and the first one is incorporating people into a pre-existing community at Southern Wesleyan. At our base, we have SWU, and we want this to be the foundation for any group that comes onto campus, but in order to fully interact with SWU, you kind of need to know the core values, and one of the concepts that I wanted to focus on was our concept of community. And if you're involved in Southern Wesleyan at all, that is a word that you hear all the time because it is really true. We are a group of people who come together in community and fellowship, so we want to extend this to the individuals who will be moving to our campus. And even though those individuals have disabilities, we want them to interact in that society along with us. So the second goal was to collaborate with the Anderson and Pickens County Boards of Disabilities and Special Needs. These two boards gave representatives from Pickens and Anderson and worked with different people at Southern Wesleyan, so we have meetings about all of that. The next goal is to increase genuine social interaction and environmental relations. So people who are currently living in the housing with these individuals or working in the housing with these individuals are paid employees of the boards. One of the things that is going to be different about this housing facility is that they are going to be surrounded with SWU student mentors instead of paid hired employees. Research shows that many individuals with special needs can tell whether you are interacting with them in a genuine way and authentically, whether or not you actually are. So that was one thing that we definitely wanted to focus on, was placing individuals in this housing facility, SWU students, faculty, and staff who are committed to genuine interaction. We also wanted to increase independence in individuals with special needs, as well as give SWU students, faculty, and staff experience in dealing with different groups of people. The main goal, though, that I didn't put up on the board, was that we want to change lives for the better and change lives for God. So that is something that is a strong feeling that all of us involved in the Jericho Project have. So in order to start my research, I reached out to universities in South Carolina who have programs that look similar to the Jericho Project. And excitingly, 2 universities got back with me, USC Carolina Life Program and the Winthrop Think College Program. I spoke with representatives from these 2 universities over the phone and through email, and was able to kind of notice that we are creating a program that is completely different from anything in the state. So we are the first in the state to have a program like the Jericho Project. So that was the goal of me interviewing, and that was what we were hoping to find, and that is what we did find, is that most of the programs in the state are more focused on individuals with learning disabilities, and they have a specific age range that they accept right out of the high school program and early 20s. Our program, the Jericho Project, is going to be open to individuals with any type of disability of any age, and will also not have an academic piece. Most of these programs, like the Clemson Life Program, Carolina Life, and Think College, have some sort of academic coursework, whether that's like life experience or actually in a classroom kind of taking courses. Most of them have that piece, and we are not going to have that piece. That's something that we can add later, but in the first stages, we wanted community and interaction and socialization to be one of the main proponents of our program. So we want to become a community-based operation and not an academic-based operation. We believe that individuals with special needs will learn just like we do while experiencing life and going through different interactions. Social skills and personal skills will transfer to many different avenues of life, and we want this to become a ladder program. So originally we were thinking we are going to place SWU student mentors into the housing facility, and they're going to interact with faculty and staff, visitors of campus, but in actually interacting with these individuals with special needs, we have realized that this is just as much a reciprocal process where we are pouring into them, but then they are pouring so much back into our community. So it's something that I'm really excited about. Okay, so the IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, categorizes 13 different disabilities, and originally this was to ensure equality in education. We used this in our handbook in order to kind of give a basic outline of some of the different disabilities that we may see in the coming years of the people coming to our campus. So this outline basically shows some of the different struggles and challenges that these individuals are going to face on a daily basis. So one of the main headings in our handbook was goals of interaction. To properly engage in a community, that is based on love. We must keep love at the foundation of everything that we do. So that is one of the main points, is we want to heal brokenness between different groups of people. This is so relevant in society today because we have lots of news about like everything and about all of the struggles between different cultural groups. And this is one thing that you typically don't hear in the news, but is just as relevant. So one of the main behavior expectations that I wanted to outline was purposeful interaction. Purposeful interaction is integrating our friends with special needs into our pre-existing community. So an example of this would be bringing someone to lunch or to different athletic events or to chapel services, just incorporating them into SWU life, student life. The second behavior expectation that I outlined was creating unique relationships. So if you have purposeful interaction, you will create a relationship with these individuals. And through this, it's important to understand that people have differences that make them unique. We talked a couple seconds ago about the different categories that the IDEA set apart, and those may look like perfect little boxes that you can label someone with, but it's important to know that individuals with special needs are just as unique as we all are. They have different likes and dislikes, different interests, and they have been taught from a very young age that they have choices and that it's good for them to make their own choices. So that's something we need to carry into our campus life when they come to our campus. So the next one is communication. Communication is important in any relationship or friendship that you're going to have. And this includes your relationships and friendships with individuals with special needs. So the next one is adulthood. And adulthood, helping, and threats and intimidation all kind of go together. So typically, even though these individuals may not act their age at times, their behavior may not go along with their age, they're still functioning adults. They still have the rights that we have as adults and as humans. So it's important to, for example, like speak to them in common language and speak to them in a common tone of voice. It's also imperative not to assume the functioning of an individual with special needs. If they seem like they need help, simply ask them if they need help. And if they don't want any help, this is really big for them. If they don't want any help, then respect that right, and respect that choice, and kind of just go along. Because sometimes they really take pride in what they can do for themselves. So celebrate when they get things right, but don't push if they don't want your help, because sometimes they really just want to do it themselves. The last one is threats and intimidation, and this may seem like a duh kind of thing, but these two things should not be used in order to ensure compliance. So this is a main point. So treat them basically like you would treat any of your other friends or other students, if not a little better. The next section was on respect and independence, and respect is defined by the Council on Quality and Leadership as listening, responding to people in a way that they expect, and with the promptness that anyone would expect. So I really like this definition and think that it should be used with all groups of people, not just people with special needs. We believe God calls all people to service and community, regardless of ethnicity, gender, or ability. All the natural rights that we have as humans encompass people with disabilities. And as with anything, there are going to be specific instances where saying no is going to be hard. So it is important to set boundaries with individuals with special needs, because they sometimes do not understand the social cues. But it's okay to tell them no if you're busy and can't hang out, can't go to dinner, can't do anything like that. So we wanted to make sure that our students, faculty, and staff knew that, and knew that setting boundaries was an important way for them to gain experience in social situations, and also to gain independence, to let them know you can do this by yourself, I don't have time, kind of thing. We really wanted to focus on person-focused interaction, and quality of life. And quality of life encompasses basically anything that you can think of on a daily basis. So emotional, physical, relational, and occupational growth. And here at SWU, spiritual growth. So, like I mentioned before, every human has the same natural rights. If our community is able to protect this, then we will transform into a person-focused community rather than an ability-focused community. Breaking down these walls are so important in order to relay the information that we really care and are really going to work to make this program successful. So increasing socialization, advocacy, and consent was the second to last section in my handbook. Socialization is extremely important, and one way to increase that was through encouragement and support of the individual with special needs. So the SWU body is called to encourage and support community members. This allows every individual to grow spiritually, emotionally, and socially, even if they are in tough situations. That is a direct quote from our student handbook. So studies have shown that one way to increase the socialization for an individual with special needs is through service learning. Service learning is an important application that can be used to develop positive attitudes towards individuals with special needs. And it also enables people who encounter individuals with special needs on a daily basis to increase positive outlooks on disabilities. SWU's community is increasing their socialization and experience by relating with friends through many different outlets. And this includes, like I mentioned before, intramural activities, athletics, different chapel services, student activities. So through these different social outlets, we'll be able to increase the socialization. Advocacy and consent are two things that I wanted to highlight in this section. And self-advocacy is different than gaining independence. Self-advocacy is finding your own voice and making sure that it is heard. So this is important for anyone in general, but especially for individuals with special needs, because like I've mentioned before, they kind of have trouble doing this on their own. So this is really important to empower them through this program in order to increase socialization. So our last topic is health and safety. Safety is obviously going to be something that is relevant in any walk of life, no matter where you are, no matter what group of people you are. But one thing we wanted to make sure that was understood was that it's important to understand the difference between safeguarding against inappropriate behavior and stifling positive experiences based on risk-taking. So understanding the fine line between risk-taking and being unsafe is kind of hard. We can't identify specifics in every situation, but we did set out a guideline in our written handbook on like specific experiences and situations and how to handle them. Two other things in the health and safety section were privacy and permission. So privacy includes access to time alone and keeping possessions personal, and permission should be gained from the individual and should be granted first when dealing with someone, and this includes someone's possessions. So an example here would be if an individual is in a wheelchair or has to use a walking aid. This is basically an extension of that person's body. So ask before, if you see that they need help, you need to ask, and then be granted permission, and then follow along with whatever they said you could do. So that's really important for individuals who have different aids that they carry around. So adding everything together. Southern Wesleyan is able to provide support for these individuals with special needs through increasing socialization and safety and quality of life. One of the main things that I want to leave with you today throughout all of this is the need to shift to a more person-first mentality. This is something that is relevant in any walk of life with any group of people. It is important to put the person first and not their disabilities in language and in everyday life. This is called the person-first language, and it is extremely important. So we are one body of Christ, not distinguished by our disabilities, but by our uniqueness and abilities. Thank you. Does anyone have questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how do people get involved in this project if they are interested in being a part of it?
Okay, so we have a lot of different avenues in order to get involved. If our students are interested in becoming mentors, there's an application process, an interview process. They can get in touch with Dr. Woods, Dr. Brockington, or Dr. Lisa McWhorter. So we also have a second step where you can volunteer, and this would basically be taking someone to lunch, taking someone to an athletic event. You won't need volunteer training for that. It's just going to be, they're going to be incorporated in our community. So we hope that by them being on our campus, we'll be able to kind of naturally incorporate them and be able to like do the same for us.
Maybe who's the manual's designed for who?
For students, faculty, and staff. So it is the community engagement manual written for the students, faculty, and staff about the people of the Jericho Project. Yes, sir.
Is the intent to distribute this manual maybe at the beginning of the school year? Or?
Yes, sir. We hope to probably put it online like the student handbook is.
Is this going to be a facility that disabled people and students and faculty will live in?
Yes, sir. We broke ground last semester, and if you know where our softball field is, out that way, it is going to be right across the street from that. So this is going to be like a state-of-the-art building that will be handicap accessible and have all of the needs for the individuals and for the SWU students. So it's an apartment-based system. We have 11 people with special needs come to campus, and they will be paired with 9 SWU students as mentors. And these individuals are going to have a range of different disabilities and abilities. So it's going to kind of be an all-encompassing building.
How did you choose the name Jericho Project?
I'm not sure.
Breaking down walls.
There we go, breaking down walls. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
How are the people who are going to be house servers chosen? Not students, but
That wasn't necessarily part of my research project, but someone correct me if I am wrong on my committee. I believe they are chosen through the Pickens and Anderson Boards of Disabilities. So these individuals are either currently in a housing facility that is run by the Anderson or Pickens board.
That's correct.
Yes.
do you have anybody with disabilities that is helping you with this? Or is it all walking around people behind?
It is, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all workers who have a lot of experience with dealing with individuals with special needs. I don't know if I'm pretty sure we have consulted them, but they are not on any sort of board. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Got time for one more? Okay, well, thank Megan again.